You mentioned in your report that at least 5 people might still be detained in SBU prisons in Kharkiv. According to your information, how many illegal detention places are on the territory controlled by Ukraine, where people are imprisoned with no court ruling?
Well, we don't actually honestly know. We hope that there would be very few, and it would be incorrect to speculate on this issue. And I mean, the main point is that nobody should be held in incommunicado. Once someone is detained, they should be given access to communicate with families and a lawyer. So that's what we should be aiming for, and definitely trying to ensure that if there are such places, that they no longer exist, and really to ensure that people in Ukraine for over 2.5 years, and we've been closely following issues related to detention. So we have a range of contacts, but as with everything we do, it's the first-hand information that is critical for us, and this will come from victims themselves or witnesses of violations, be it in this case, I mean, where someone is detained. So it would be different actors who might give us the information, and then we will verify our findings with representatives of the state security services. We have an ongoing discussion with them. It's not only ourselves; it's many others who have also raised the concerns with them, and I mean, according to them, they have one official place of detention that's based here in Kiev. So we are actually, when we request to go into Kiev, that's not a problem right now.
Why are they unsuccessful? Because of no access, or because there's no information about such prisons except for in Kharkiv?
There's probably a range of those points, but I have to say that the UN Subcommittee on the Prevention of Torture that was recently here in the late summer, they were able to access the various facilities that they wanted to go into under the auspices of the SBU. So there are different factors, I believe, and we have to also recognise that some access was gained by one UN body. From the Minsk talks, and there's further discussions going on. So we know as much as you know, and I think the main thing is that we would very much hope that there will be, as soon as possible, this all-for-all release.
People who have been freed told us that the military prosecutor's office is investigating cases like these. Do you know anything about it? Can people who are detained in such prisons go to the European Court of Human Rights?
So that's a very welcome development. With regards to the second point of whether those individuals can go, who've been held in detention, can go to, in these unofficial places, can go to the European Court. I mean, the European Court is like a last instance. First of all, you have to go through all the domestic instances in any country. So that would be something that they would need to look at. I mean, first discuss with a lawyer, and then work out, a strategy on how they want to take any case to court. And on the final point, I mean, the staff members of the mission, I mean, all the documentation that we do is then, as you know, is part of public reports. It's part of advocacy we do, but it's not. It's there for then us to go and discuss further with the government of Ukraine, for example, and we make certain recommendations to the various either government ministries or agencies. It's not there to set the ground for.
Talking about separatist territories, so-called LNR and DNR. According to your report, there are at least 8 places of illegal detention in the LNR and 3 in the DNR. Have you been to these places? Where did you get this information?
As the basis for our analysis, through first-hand information. So that's where it all comes to us, and. No, we haven't had access to the detention facilities in territories under the control of armed groups is more complicated. We, as with others, are seeking to have access more comprehensive access. And also the access means meeting with individuals and having confidential discussions with these people. And the point is then that we would have a clearer idea of what exactly the conditions are, what is the situation for those people who are detained.
Hromadske made a report about displaced people who were temporarily living in the Kyalnik health camp in the Odessa region. They spent 2 years there. Since the utility bills were not paid, they had to return to the Donetsk region, which was under the control of Ukraine. In your opinion, why is there still no system for the internally displaced people? There is a law, but has the situation improved over the past year?
But I think what we need to maybe not think about why it's taking so long, but really try to give some very practical aspects to what can be done. Maybe we know there needs to be a big nationwide comprehensive strategy, but at the same time, and this was what we also had hoped in for the Gulyanik and Odessa, is that there can be individual solutions to assist IDPs so they don't, for example, face secondary displacement. And maybe that can be done and then be an example for how it could be done in other parts of the country. So yes, of course, we need a comprehensive strategy for the country, but also let's try and look at how we can resolve individual cases. And maybe in the work that you do here, Hromadske TV, maybe there are examples that you actually come across that can be shown and illustrate where actually the system is working and can be used as a good example for other regions or places. To focus also on how much has been done by Ukrainian society as a whole to support those people who have become displaced. I mean, I think it's one of the positive elements, if you want to say that, from everything that's happened in the last 2.5 years, is the amount of support civil society broadly gave to those who have faced displacement, volunteerism and so on. So I think there's a huge amount to learn from the actions of civil society that would have taken place over the last 2.5 years.
What are the 3 main directions Ukraine should follow, and what are the 3 main human rights violations in Ukraine that should be taken into consideration by authorities, journalists, and civil society organizations?
The government of Ukraine, as in line with the General Assembly Resolution 68262 on territorial integrity, does still have obligations to all those who live within its jurisdiction. And I think one of the most important things, and actually it's the reason that the Human Rights Monitoring Mission came in the first place, is to look at the whole question of accountability. We came here to look at accountability of events that took place in Maidan, the violence, the killings, and we need to still do that. We need to support the government, the state, to do that, and it's even more needed, the whole question of accountability, and that will be important when we get to a situation where there will be peace. We'll be looking at the whole question then of justice for victims, holding perpetrators to account.